I will heal myself and the world. I know people say that doesn't even make sense, but when you get the logic of this, it will make sense because all healing is of the self, meaning the self of the individual, who we are, who we're meant to be in the world, who we're meant to become, because we're all a product or part of source or God or all that is, however you might think of it. And so when we come to understand that, then we are healing ourselves, and that means embodying our authentic selves. And sometimes that's challenging for a lot of us. It was challenging for me. I was speaking to a friend last night. We were texting. He's Jewish, and he sent me this text that was like filled with so much anger and rage and all that. And I said, I feel your anger. And I said, now you probably understand why I changed my life. But I said, I'm going to do more and I will do it tomorrow. And that's what I'm doing today. See, because I've known where things were going in our world, I've known for a really long time, but then getting others to understand that was a little bit challenging for me, but that can no longer be because I know what I have and what can happen. And the healing of me will be embodying my authentic self. We don't know who we're going to become when we're born. I didn't know I was going to be a mystic or a sage, or I would bring in information that would be essential in our world at this time. But it has been. And I had that doubt, like as we all do when we bring in something new. I was sharing something the other day about Carl Jung and all of his doubts, or Napoleon Hill. Anyone who's come in before has doubts when they create something new. And the one person who really helped me the most was Bertrand Russell. I wrote an article about that probably about a year ago. And I said how Bertrand Russell and my brother, Brian Burnley, helped save the world. See, because I was doubting everything and I didn't have enough money to keep going and my brother helped me through that. I told that story before because I knew that if I were to give others this work, they would soar, they would understand who they are, they would become prosperous, they would find their life purpose, they would then start changing the world. Because see, then you let go of all the old stuff, you let go of all the anger and bitterness and generational shame and drama that we're all moving through now. And I've known that. But see, talking about it was something a little bit different for me because I was this introverted person. And but then again, no one was going to believe it. When I started receiving information in 1988, I kept it hidden for more than 20 years because I thought no one's going to understand this. No one's going to believe this. But what was happening is that I was healing my life, transforming, creating businesses and all of that. I mean, I was doing everything from this work that I was receiving, but it also felt unbelievable. And then even when I told people about this, I'm going to really bring this to the world, they said, no one's going to believe it. And that is true. You can see comments on some of my videos where one person said, we don't believe you. And that is the problem. We don't believe what we can accomplish. We don't believe who we are. And then sometimes it takes a while to do that, but it's all mindset and it's all consciousness. As we live, we can choose to up-level our consciousness. And if we do that, the world will start doing it. And then eventually we have a different world. And that's logic. If you think about that, I went back to Aristotle because he was about logic. And you have to think, what would make you any less important in the world than anyone else? Nothing, except we've been programmed to think something differently, and it's gone on for generations. And then when that happens, we feel weak, we feel like we don't have any power, we lose our empowerment, and then we also lose our sense of humanity. And that's what's going on now. And this is why I've said our world is moving through a restructuring. See, that's all the information I received. It was challenging to believe that, wait a minute, I accessed this entity that gave me all this cosmic information that allowed me to bring in a philosophy. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And then listening to others who've come before who had the same difficulty about getting others to understand. But I thought, whoever's going to choose to understand will get it. See, because if you're not happy, you haven't connected to your authentic self. If you're still in fear, you don't know the nature of your being and what you can accomplish. And I know this because I've done all of these things. The last thing that I had to do was get out of my way. That's really what it was. And that's for most of us when we start to let go of the restrictions. But I'm going to show you something because this is one of those messages that I received. This was 1989. Because listen, I've created enough work. I've downloaded enough works for more than 35 years now that could transform anyone's life. The only thing I haven't done is finished it. And that's what I'm going to do now. I made this commitment and I told my team, I'm going to get this all together. I'm going to keep giving more of my work because, see, as I've said, we're going to be moving through this kind of disruption in our world for at least another year or more. And so the most important thing any person can do is decide to own who they are, heal themselves, and become prosperous. That's it. Become successful. Become the person you're meant to be, that life purpose that is within you. And I know that my work causes that to happen. And I couldn't say that unless I've seen it, because I've seen it for years. I've done it with so many others. I've created, helped others become these multimillionaires and superstars. I didn't create them, but I guided them to that through all of my work. And I can do more if I don't hold this back. So let me show you what the message was, because it's kind of fascinating when you look at it. And again, this was 1989, February 19th. Yes, it is indeed wise for you to realize how powerful you are and also to acknowledge the innate benevolence of your being. You seem to consistently maintain a subtle fear that somehow you would use your power in an ego oriented way to the detriment of others. The truth for you is exactly the opposite. For the more you gain, you give away. The anger you sense or hostility at times, if you have also been aware of, is not truly directed at others, but merely a reflection of your inner frustration with the intellectual knowledge of your power and your simultaneous restriction of that power, which causes friction. It is everyone's power to do with as they please, but your individual way is becoming more clear and purposeful for you. Be careful of the instilled limitations which would not have you own your worth. Relax and enjoy. Instilled limitations. That's it. We all have them. They're instilled limitations, meaning there's something that we learned from before, from our parents, our ancestors, and we carry it forth. And if we don't get rid of it, then we don't live the lives we're supposed to have now, and we don't have the world we're meant to have. So I am going to move on now with this, the last part of my life, because as I've told so many, I'm going to be 73 in a couple of weeks, and I thought I'm going to finish so much more of this, and I'm never going to die with my music still in me, as Wayne Dyer said all the time, and I have so much of it to give. But I want you to know that, and I said this yesterday, the world's not falling apart. It's asking us to come together. And the way that we come together is deciding to own who we are, discover our life purpose, live it abundantly, allow abundance to come into our life so we can make a greater difference in the world, so we don't allow people to starve to death, and we don't allow things to become the way they look now, where we're filled with anger and hatred and retribution. Because we have two choices: love or fear. And when you're choosing fear, you're choosing to put a negative, lower vibration into the world, and you're keeping that happening, and then our world never evolves. But if you're choosing love, this is the best thing that we can all come to understand. When we're choosing love, and the only way we can do that is when we choose to love ourselves. That's all. See you soon.